you don't have any vows, think of something you really want to happen in your life, something you really wish for, and then think, what are you doing towards it, really, seriously? And what are your habits against it that prevent you from getting it? Just think of that for a minute or two. Yeah? So go for it. So take a comfortably seated position, really see if you can take the next few minutes to disconnect from the habit of being a normal person and all the busyness that you contain in your mind and your heart. See if you can park it outside this building, just leave it outside watching the street, maybe a ghost image of you. And that image out there can worry about all the worries you have and all the troubles and all the things you're going to do tomorrow or not do, and who liked this and who liked that, and all the chatter can just stay out there. And give yourself a vacation from that part of you. So begin by making sure your body here is comfortable. The key is that your back is straight but not forced, your shoulders slightly open so your chest opens up. Imagine that there's like a golden string or a rod just in front of your spine, from the base all the way to your crown, like a string pulling you up from the crown. And then extend that rod of light, some golden light or slightly bluish golden light, and extend it all the way down to the core of the earth, really firmly grounding yourself there. And extend it above you all the way up into the eternity of the universe, connecting you to everything. Do a quick scan of your body, releasing any tension that you may hold in your thighs or your chest, particularly your face and neck. And just use your natural breathing to relax those muscles or that tension. On the exhale, you have a beautiful relaxation sensation, softening your face. Bring your awareness to your body in the room, the edges of your body that are touching the cushion. the seat. See if you can focus your mind now on the parts of your body that are naturally moving with the breath. Your chest, slowly bring your mind's attention to the breath at the tip of the nostril. See if you can feel the sensation of air naturally without controlling it, entering and exiting your nostril. See how long you can stay on that sensation, your mind focused, not too tight, on the sensation of air entering and exiting your nostrils. See if you can feel the sensations first, and then imagine the flow, temperature changing just inside the nostrils. Right here is the art of all meditation. If your mind gets distracted even slightly, become aware of the distraction and gently and happily realize you caught the distraction, and then naturally bring it back to your focus, your breath. You're building the muscle of returning to the object of meditation. And every time you catch yourself, it is a good thing for your meditation practice. I'd like you to imagine the possibility that a being can become enlightened, awakened. If you practice Buddhist practices, this could be the image of a Buddha in your mind, but not just the physical image, but what it means to be that kind of being that experiences the universe in an enlightened way. You can also just imagine a teacher, someone that's had the kindness to awaken parts of you. Whatever you imagine them somewhere high above you, connecting to that rod of light that is connected to your crown. And then you watch them come towards you like an antenna, calling them. And just gently bring them down to sit just above the crown of your head, and get them smaller and smaller until they're the size of a quarter. Bright and powerful. connected to you through that rod of light. Every realization they have, every step towards freedom, nirvana, enlightenment, connected to you. And if you have more than one teacher, or you can imagine that there might be more than one being that has achieved that state, imagine them attracted to that rod of light above you, and imagine like a whole massive collection of beings with perfect minds and perfect hearts, free from confusions and the kinds of sufferings we suffer, free from those, all connected to you. And keeping them up there, see if you can bring your attention to the image of yourself in your own mind as you are now. And I don't mean just an image that's a physical image. I mean everything that you mean. It means to be you. Your collection of mental moments, your feelings, your state of being, as well as your physical form. Just bring to mind who it is to be you. That image in your mind, see if that is you or just an image of you, a representation of you. And see if you can change that image. To make it in a state that is happier. Perhaps recalling a moment when you had a moment of bliss. And here, just watch the reaction you have about changing that image. See if you can feel the sensations in your mind wanting to shift because you shifted the image of who you are, either in a negative way or a positive way. And then ask yourself, am I reacting to who I am or to the idea of who I am? And see now if you can bring that image of you down towards the level of your heart. Imagine a tiny image of you in there, connected to that rod of light that goes infinitely above you, connected to all those beings. And then invite them all to enter the crown of your head and down that rod of light into your heart, surrounding you with a fantastical light and a sensation of peace and all their wisdom. So you can no longer tell the difference of that image of you and all the qualities they hold. Imagine that they are innumerable. They continue flooding in infinite goodness to your heart. Mixing perfectly with the image of you. And then see if you find a moment of peace or bliss in that experience, or whatever you find. See if you can share that insight or that feeling with other beings on this planet by imagining a rod of light coming from your chest, exiting from your chest and filling the atmosphere of this planet. Touching every single being, giving them a sense of peace, some kind of refuge. See if you can be specific about imagining people's faces changing from some mundane life to some moment of bliss because the light from your heart touched them. And then on the next inhale, just gradually bring your awareness back to your heart and to your body in the room. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So just with that feeling or that motivation, if it was good, dedicate it, and if it was uncomfortable, then dedicate the overcoming of the discomfort. I'm going to do a quick mandala offering and then we'll do the next part.
Sachi Buddhi Shin Mental Tram Miradin Shin Padi Sangye Shindu Nite Luargi Drokun Namda Shimla Shilparsho Yam Buddha Kamanda Kamniyasayami Sangye Shiram Soki Shoknamla Jamchu Badu Dagni Japsuchi Raki Chunyen Kipe Sonam Ki Sangye Shirang Soki Choknam Lam Janchu Badu Rakni Gyatsuchi Daki Chunyen Yipe Sonam Ki Yola Benchir Sangye Drupasho Sangye Shirang Soki Choknam La Janchu Badu Dagni Gyatsuchi Dagi Junyen Yipe Sonam Ki Yola Benchir Sangye Drupasho.
So nice to see everybody here. Yawning. Okay, do you remember what we're studying?
Logic.
What's the Sanskrit name for what we're studying, or the Tibetan?
The Chi Chedra.
How do you say logic?
Pramana Bhartika.
Cool, thank you.
Yes.
So we're studying pramana, yeah, which is about perception, right? So we're talking about our capacity. How is it that we engage with this universe of ours? So the beautiful thing about this, about this study, is that really we're like wizards trying to comprehend the immensity of all existence and then grabbing logical arguments to make sense of it. And you're going to get a taste of parts of that as we go through. So if you've been to all the classes, you've seen already how we've divided all existing things into several subsets, and then those subsets into other subsets, so we can place our mind with a logical perspective on what it is that exists. And then we've been using syllogisms, or we've been using a logical argument, whether it's correct or incorrect, to try and force our mind to see how is it that we engage with reality. So the main reason for studying this, there were three main reasons. Who can remind me? Why are we studying this? Really, really, really?
To keep the practice going.
That's a good one. Yeah. Keep your practice going. But why practice anything?
To see emptiness, to perceive emptiness with our own
Great.
heart, with our own mind.
Great. So really the crunch of it is to have this direct perception of emptiness. You can't have a direct perception of emptiness. What does that mean, by the way? What does a direct perception of emptiness mean? It means one of the peak meditation moments that you can have, when you have a visceral experience, when your mind goes deep enough into the nature of existence and you see for the very first time how things truly are, instead of how they illusionary, is that a word? They appear illusory, yeah? How they appear, like an illusion. We don't know we're in an illusion that functions. We still feel it, still have, this is a real thing we're in, right? So don't go crazy and think nothing exists. That's not what we're talking about. But there is a different, a deeper, a more ultimate way that things exist that we don't understand, and so we never engage with, and therefore we do a mistake in our actions, in our thinking, in our behavior when we engage with reality. And what's a result of a mistaken action? A mistaken result. So things break down. So we have this samsaric experience where things start and stop, and then we hurt because we don't understand why things changed. I didn't expect them to change. I want things to be solid. Because we misunderstand where our world is coming from, how it functions, we act towards it with a mistaken view. It's not that you're a bad person, it's not that you're going to go to hell, although you might. But it's not like that. It's just a clear misunderstanding of how things are. So if you don't know how a computer works and you have a misunderstanding of how the computer works, you might sit there and try and do things to it to make it work. And you might get something to happen, but it ain't gonna be the way it should work. First of all, you won't create the right things. Yeah. You might, won't do the computer analogy. The bottom line here is, really there were three reasons, right? One was see emptiness directly, have this direct experience. That's why we're putting our minds through this. Really, there's no other reason for it. Yeah, there's so many other more awesome activities to do on the planet than sit in a room and force your mind to think about the ultimate nature of existence. Unless it was going to free you and all of humanity from suffering. Wow. If that's really a possibility, then it's totally worth it. If it's just another mundane activity, go study craft, you know, or something. You know, you don't need to study Eastern logic. Because everything we do here stops. It's just another thing. Whatever comes, goes, you can get off for a little bit and then you're going to get bored with it. Yeah. Who's bought a beautiful piece of clothing in the last 5 years? Something they really like. Yeah, shoes or something like that. Yeah. 5 years ago or something. How awesome are those pairs now? Where are they now? Do they really get you off in the same way for the same clothing? So everything we do here has this wave, yeah? But there are things that our mind has the capacity to penetrate that are beyond the normal interaction, and you get through it through logic. You get to it through practices, yeah? Logic is a key ingredient in getting to that. That peak experience, seeing emptiness directly, one of the reasons too, right? But then if I put two little wheels on it, you might go, oh, it's beginning to have that quality, right? But it doesn't make that a car yet. So there's a difference between carness, a car, or the car. Qualityness of something, a quality, or the quality. So there's something in that wording which we do with our minds when we engage with things and we begin to construct our reality because something has a ness, then we create a mental picture of that, a dunchi, yeah? And we mistake that image, that mental idea, like we did in our meditation. I asked you to bring up an image of yourself, right? But then when we change that image of yourself, it was just an image in your mind of yourself, and you shifted that image and your sensations changed, and you thought, hopefully or not, your emotions changed in relation to you, but you just changed the mental image. You were the one meditating, not to get too meta, okay? So there's a difference between that thing that has a quality of me, that mental image of me, and the actual me that is meditating. So there were three parts to the dunchi, which is, so there's dunchi and drachi, right? Do you remember the drachi, what that was?
Good.
This is just as an aside for those of you who have been here. If you haven't been here, just go, he's just saying words and that's okay, yeah?
It's something you've never seen before.
Great, so a dunchi is a mental picture of something you have had a direct experience with, right? So if you're all looking at this pen, and I take it away, and I say, can you remember what that pen looked like? You're all having a dunchi of that pen, right? But if I said, there's this plate that's green and gold on my altar at home, you're all imagining that, but that's not something you've had a direct, unless you've seen my altar, yeah? So that's a drachi, that's a mental image of something you have not had an experience of, right? So you're fabricating that, you're piecing that together with something else. Why is all this important? Why are we talking about this?
Because this is how we relate with our reality.
Yeah, so we're doing this so fast, we never catch it. The point of this course is really slowing our minds right down, our thinking right down, our emotions reacting to everything right down, and somewhere in those relationships we will see a mistake. And in that mistake is our suffering. And hopefully we can catch enough of them to stop them. Because once you see one, it's easy to see others. Does that make sense? Yeah? Is it still too warm? Am I really boring? You're all very quiet. Is someone
stinky.
Upset? She's stinky, right? Stop stinking. And Sok-chi is just a nominal chi, a nominal quality we talk about. It's just discussed in the Dura text that we're studying, so I won't give you everything we're studying, right? So it's just a nominal. So a car has a physical collection of parts, and it will be the wheels and the chassis and the things. So that doesn't really help us very much to get to this thing that our mind does. The middle one does, the dunchi, which is a mental image of something we conceptualize. In the meditation, you had a dunchi of yourselves. Yeah? We mistake that image for the actual object. You mistake that image you had of yourself, you totally related to it, and you mistake it for who you really are. You're not that image. Yeah? And then you had all these emotions and sensations about it. Towards what? Towards some movement of your mind. It wasn't towards you. Right? And therein lies the mistake. Then part C is that you arrive through a negation. That's not that important. That the Abhidharma school, that the logic school we're studying, says that the way you come, when I say, the way you arrive at catching an object and watching your mental image of whatever, so this is not a pen, okay? This is just now visible data for your eye. If you can every minute not use your memory and just experience what things are in front of you and catch your mind create what that is, you're really not seeing a pen, you're really seeing shapes and shades and so on, right? And something in your mind is going, that's a pen, yeah? But that's the dunchi that's coming up in your mind. The third part of how dunchis come about is they say, I don't know how significant it is, that you arrive at that, your mind arrives at that by going, is it a banana? No. Is it a toy? No. Is it a this? No. And it goes through every other object in your consciousness, and it says the only thing left over is pen. So everything that is not a pen gets eliminated, and then you arrive at the quality pen. This has penness to it. Pen. It's a pen. Yeah? So just soak that a little bit in your mind. The more you think about this and the more we talk about this, the more it begins to make sense, and particularly if you're meditating, the more you'll be able to catch your mind doing this about the objects of your meditation. And then a jedrak is something that is characteristic of that quality, right? So a member of a chi is a jedrak. So, is banana a jedrak of pens? No.
Very trick question.
Unless it was a pen banana. Yeah. A banana pen. The easy example is that if you grab car as the chi, as the rikchi, as the general quality, then you go down the street and you say, that type of car, that Chevy or that Ford or that something, is characteristic of that quality carness. Yeah? That makes sense? So that's a jedrak of that chi. Does that make sense? So that's a jedrak of that chi. Now, if you look at Toyotas, because someone just bought one, and you say Toyota is the chi, something has a chi, a Toyota-ness about it, you can have a Camry or what are other Toyota types? Corolla. These are all jedraks of Toyotas. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. So chi is car, Jedrak is Ford, Toyota, etc. Or chi is Toyota, and Jedraks of that group are Camrys, Corollas, etc.
So Jedrak is any like arbitrary subclass of what you're thinking about?
Yeah, it has to have that quality. It's something that is characteristic of that thing you're thinking about. That quality we've discussed, that chi. A Jedrak has a characteristic of that chi. Yeah. So if I say, for those of you who remember the chart of all existing things, can you say that emptiness is a Jedrak of all existing things? Yes or no?
Yes.
By second degree.
No.
No?
No.
Directory. Can you say that an eyeball is a Jedrak of mental functions?
No.
No.
Good. Can you say that studying is a Jedrak of... No, I won't do that one.
Do not repent.
What was your question?
So, the emptiness question just now. So, emptiness is part of all existing things, right? But it's really a Jedrak of unchanging things, and unchanging things is a Jedrak of all existing things. So, is emptiness a Jedrak of all existing things? But because a Corolla is a car, it's also a Toyota, but it's also a car. So
is a Toyota,
Still
is
a
a
Jedrak.
Corolla.
So everything is Jedrak of all existing things.
Emptiness
Yes.
is not a thing.
It is-
Yeah,
it
but
is
I was just
Moving the chart.
characterizing. Thank you. But that I was going really, seeing if people could connect the
Emptiness
chart.
is the thing of non-things. No.
But thank you. That's a really good debate. But that's what I was trying to get to, is see if you have a Dunchi of that all existing things chart,
Right.
and see if you can connect them. Right.
But-
So you're saying 2 times removed. Does that mean it's a subset of that chi?
Right.
Right. We're going to talk a little bit about relationships here at the end of this class that might answer that question for
I have
you.
to wait until the end.
No, but here is the thing. Is a Camry a car?
Yes.
Is a characteristic of car? Is a Camry characteristic of car?
No.
Yes.
Well, it is.
Is
Because
a Camry characteristic of car? Yes.
No.
I think it is.
It's not.
we learned the 3 tests of this last
We-
class.
We
So the
did.
didn't we?
Didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Or was it just in the reading?
No, we did.
So if you eliminate the chi, the Jedrak should also be eliminated. So if you eliminate all knowable things,
Good.
would emptiness be eliminated?
Yes.
Yes. So then that's the test. Well, that's one of the tests.
That's
Right.
one of the tests.
That's like the easiest one, I think.
Yeah. So if you eliminate car, if there's no car, do all Camrys go away?
Yes.
So it's a Jedrak car. But there's something that makes something. Well, let me get to that at the end of class. Yeah?
Sure.
Is your mind okay?
Yeah, my mind is okay.
Good. You were.
No, now I got caught up in the emptiness thing.
Okay. Let me give you something that we didn't talk about last time, but this is a reminder of.
Thank you.
We're talking about different schools of Eastern philosophy, different schools of Buddhist thought. And mostly we're trying to reach the Madhyamika Prasangika perspective, right? The higher school, not because it's the best school, not because of any other reason, that it's more encompassing over all of existence than other perspectives when you get to the nitty-gritty of practice. Dependent origination, meaning something arises in dependence to someone else, something else, means name and term. Okay? In name and term, for the sake of name and term.
Term, T-E-R-M.
Yeah, T-R-M, term.
TRM. Term.
Term.
True.
And here you can think, since we've been studying Chi Jedrak, that name, in the reading, if you do it, by the way, I apologize for the previous reading. If you went to it, who tried to look at the previous reading, right? Whose head half exploded before you gave up? Yeah, it's supposed to do that, okay? It's not a reading that you do like all the other readings we've had. It's not a reading that you go, oh, I'm going to start at the beginning and go to the end and I'm going to understand that. What Geshe Michael did when he translated this particular part of the Dura, he went through all the logical statements, I think there's 15 of them, that they put in the Dura, and they begin with incorrect statements, and then somewhere in the middle the Madhyamika perspective gets a correct statement, yeah, and then you continue. So if you're reading them, it just reads like a crazy person saying this and then that and then this and then that, and it makes no sense. This reading is still a little bit like that, but not quite, okay? The reading for this class. The readings that we have in relation to this class are readings you will look at one of the debates, one of the logical arguments. Usually you jump to the middle of it where the debate flips from incorrect to correct reason, and then you go, oh, that's what we believe. Okay, we're going to get to that point. You go back to the top and you follow the logical debating argument until you reach there, because you know where you're heading. Yeah, it's hard reading. If you haven't been studying all the ACI classes,
don't read it.
Don't read it. So when you hear dependent origination, it means different things in different schools, but in the Madhyamika Prasangika school, it means name and term, right? Or thought and dunchi. Yeah? Oh, quality here and dunchi. So that's important so you can see what the use of this stuff is. Let's give some things that I didn't get to cover last class. There's this, by the way, all these are tools for you to logically debate with yourself first and then with your opponent. You get to use these little concepts of logic to debate and come to a point of understanding. When you see the relationship between things, when you see how things are created, how they relate to each other, how things group, etc. So have a look at this, groups of similar cases. When we think of an object, or when we think of a thing, or we think of an idea, it is a jedrak, usually of a chi, yeah? It is part of another grouping, yeah? And you can be part of a group of similar things, right? So, like you did with Camry, you could say that a Corolla is a similar thing, right? It's a group of similar cases, Corollas and Camrys, yeah? They're grouped together. The one follows that is part of the other chi, right? So here glass, bottles, and glasses are groups of similar cases. In the case of changing things, all other changing things are groups of similar cases of some changing things. Does that make sense? Does that sound weird? Does that make sense?
I'm not sure I get it. So they just share one quality?
Well, they share that quality of changing things. So if you say sound is a changing thing, what is it grouped with? What is its group of similar cases, you might ask? So the reason for this is so you can start finding other things to debate back at them.
So then you would just say like other groups of changing things.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a really simple idea. Yeah. Don't overcomplicate. Is that simple enough? Is that okay? Mm-hmm. And then obviously the opposite is true. Groups of dissimilar cases, and they group them in 3. Things that don't exist anyway is one of them, which is sort of a wasted argument. So for sound is a changing thing, its group of similar cases are other changing things. Its group of dissimilar cases, things that don't relate to it in any way, are things that never existed anyway, right? Like the hair on the back of a turtle, or horns on the rabbit, or a sky flower, and all those traditional Tibetan arguments. Some other thing that is too big to fit as similar. So let's go, I think it's what you were going with your emptiness question, Javier. If I said, consider an eyeball, give me a group of similar cases for eyeball.
Nose.
Why?
Perceives.
Because it's a method of perceiving.
Okay, cool. Give me, so in that simple explanation, I got it, okay? Give me something that is something other, too big to fit as a group of similar cases, so it becomes a dissimilar case.
Shovel. Marble.
Body.
Body is nice, right? Because it's a bigger part of the thing. That's I was trying to get to the tree of connectivity that we had in all existing things. Yeah. So that might just be, you can't really compare body unless you say eye consciousness or something, right? To that. So it's, if something is too big to be grouped into that, it becomes a group of dissimilar cases. That you can use in debating when someone gives you an argument that you think you can say, that doesn't fit your argument, that doesn't make sense, because that's not similar to this, when they give you a reason that that you want refute. And the other thing is a contradictory thing. So if you're saying sound is a changing thing, then emptiness wouldn't be a similar case, it would be in a dissimilar case, or space, or facts, or so on. Right? Does that make sense? These are key concepts that you can use. Once you understand them, you're going to get used to some of these, you're going to say, I'm going to use that to refute their argument. So if they say, consider sound, it's a changing thing because it's part of all existing things, so they can give you any kind of reason. That is too big, right? It is part of all existing things, but it's too big. So then your argument back might be what?
I was going to say it's too big because it includes non-changing.
Great, thank you. Yeah, excellent. You all got that, or is it heady?
Both.
Both and heady. I always try and give you a diamond deal, and you catch me. Let's talk about courses and results, okay?
Think about it.
Let me download you this bit of information, and then I'm going to grab this bit of information and what we learned last week about Chi Jedra, which we just reviewed, yeah? And then we're actually going to use it for something. Is that okay? So all you have to do is soak it up, okay? Let me give you a definition of a cause. The word for cause in the Dura is often limitedly translated as, what was it? Generate. So you want to say generate love or generate this, so you see this in texts, right? It's in the Dura, it's in relation to causality, okay? And it doesn't always encompass that, because some of those things you don't generate, like electricity or so on. But a cause is anything which brings about something else. Does that sound fair? Cool. Let's see if you get upset with me now.
Yes.
Okay. Here are some synonyms for cause, right? Cause, which is anything, defined as anything that brings about something else. Drebu, which means result, is a synonym for cause. Are you upset yet? Which is anything brought about. So one is anything that brings about something else. The other one is anything brought about. These are synonyms in the Dura, okay? And the other one is nyopo. Do you remember nyopo in all existing things? That's a working thing. It's also a synonym for? Working things, a synonym for?
Changing things.
Changing things. Thank you. What do you think about that? I was really upset when I heard this. I'm like, that's not true. You can't say a cause is an effect. You can't say a cause is a result. It's pretty awesome, right? It's a very different way of looking at the world.
reminds me of the quality of having right intention.
How do you mean?
Because there's a generate, there's like an action behind it. And the action is kind of equal to the result of it. So I see how they can be used as
Okay, so you see here the connectivity, the interdependence, right?
Okay.
So cause and effect. Let's get cause down, okay? Are you happy with that? The definitions that I'm giving you? Cause is something that brings about something else.
So the cause is always a working thing.
Correct. Very good. A cause is always a working thing. A working thing is necessarily always a cause. Anything that does anything must produce a result. Anything that's a result must produce a cause. Ouch.
But
Is
why
a
does that
cause.
make it synonymous? They're related, but I don't see where result and cause is synonymous.
In the English words, fair enough. In the concepts presented in the Dura, if something is a working thing, it's going to produce a result. So it's the same thing. If something produces a result, that causes something else. It's the same thing. You really have to think about it.
The same thing that was the result of the thing that caused it in relationship to that, in relationship to the next thing, it's the cause.
You cannot think of
So you think the thought behind that is relational to its cause or its result, and it's the same event, mental event, to say it in a way.
And we're
Does that make
talking about
sense?
karma, right?
So you're saying
We're
cause
talking
and
about
result is the
everything.
same thing?
So wouldn't the
No, I'm saying that the same thing that is a
Right.
result of something will be the cause of something else, and it is synonymous because the same minimum fraction of reality functions both as the result and the cause, depending on what you're relating it to.
Use a metaphor. Use a metaphor.
Let's look at actually, before you go there, let me define a couple of causes, yeah? Because you can have an immediate cause, and then you can have a
Indirect cause.
indirect cause. Thank you. Did you study before coming over to?
Sometimes.
That's great. Okay. If that feels okay with you, it's a different way that we normally think, because we tend to think in the West that cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect is a linear thing, and that thing is so far away, has nothing to do with this. They're different things just by terminology. So it bothers me, at least, to call them the same thing. But when you look at what they are describing, what the words are pointing to, they are the same thing. And when you get that, you can look at that cycle and you can break it. And when you get that, you look at the chart of all existing things and you're veered all the way to just working things. Causality, karma, results only sit in the in the changing things side.
Well, I
of
see
that
it
chart.
like it's day and night. I mean, they're the same, no?
They work together.
It's like there's no one without the other, and they're the same if we think about the fact that the earth is turning and it's like the same thing.
Oh, I like the way you're saying that, but I'm not sure if yeah.
I mean, for me, it's really.
I like that feeling, that visual that you gave me.
And even the light and the dark thing. The absence.
In terms of relationship of causality, maybe, okay? Because you can't say, oh, we're going to get into it in a second, but you can't say that the light caused the dark. You get into trouble when you talk about causality in that way, but I think what you're saying about the planet turning and the perception being shifting, the perception caused to shift, then I could buy it.
You could
okay?
say bee
if you
flower.
use
Bee flower.
Bee flower.
Yeah, like old and young is like this
Okay,
thing.
cool. Let's go there.
I think
Yeah?
I think what you're saying is light causes light, and therefore cause and result are the same thing.
Yeah, thank you.
Light caused light.
Light caused light. Mind caused mind.
Instead of where you were saying I don't like it because dark and light don't cause each other.
Yeah,
Because karmically, light causes light.
logically, you can only say like the current moment of this pen is caused by the immediate previous moment of this pen. Right? From its own side, forget the projection stuff. Yeah, from its own side. You know what I mean? You're so dirty. Consider an object.
From the
Consider
pen's own
yourself
side.
Yeah. You're looking at subtle impermanence of the pen over time. Pen from yesterday is a pen today. The pen today is at some point. I know. Yeah.
But yeah, at some point.
The mind is the same. Yeah. At some point, let me give you the two more definitions, and you'll see what I mean. Okay.
I think. Okay.
We'll get into it. It's good to have the. Yeah. But get into this. By the way, these are answers to questions 1 and 2. Yeah.
But what about the people that are pods?
Well, they are the cause and the result, you see. I was trying to be Western about it.
I thought it had to do with some rice. Like I was like, how does it have to do with rice?
Well, it's interesting. That's funny you should say that because they're green beans. There's nothing to do with rice. The drebel is the result. The drebel, the Tibetan sound, the Tibetan word for result means rice. Because ultimately in Asia, that's the ultimate result, the thing you want all the time. So rebel became the word for rice. But it's funny you should say that. You love rice. I hate rice.
Those aren't green beans. Those are
I love this,
pea
Maddie.
Oh, pea pods, not string beans. Thank you. Green peas, sweet peas. Shut up, everybody.
Consider that.
Consider the pea pods. Okay, let's see what I got to tell you here. We got direct and indirect, okay, as one division, and then you got material and contributing factor. In the Dura, in the text that we're studying, which is the shorter of the several texts that there are available to study logic, they give these two divisions of causes. You can have a direct or an indirect cause, and you can have a material cause with contributing factors. Two different ways of looking at causality. Is that okay? Let's look at direct cause. Mu yu or gyu gyu. Mu yu or gyu gyu. And apparently there's a funny way to say the first gyu and the second gyu. But what you're objecting to, Cliff, is that you can say that this instant of pen, you didn't like that I said this instant of pen.
Well, I didn't like when you said from its own side.
Yeah, I know. Because I was just saying, we're looking at this object now in a nominal sense, not from a prasangika madhyamika point of view, which is saying project onto it your mental picture of penness. We're not in that school, we're getting out of that school. We're trying to just look at the way all schools understand cause and effect. Yeah? And so we're now looking at causality and understanding terms that can apply to all causality of all schools, not just the prasangika point of view. Because one of the rules of debating within that system is you cannot use any concepts that your opponent doesn't already accept. It's just the order of those concepts that you're doing to bring them to an awareness. So they must accept that there's a pen, they must accept that there was a pen before, yeah, etc., etc., etc. If they don't believe, if they're not madhyamika prasangikas, that everything is your projection, you can't use that argument with them without using different arguments, different things that they already believe in, and then piecing them together to come to a conclusion that they never had before about those things that they already believed in. So all we're doing for now is looking at the Dura and saying all the different schools land causality this way. Yeah? Is that okay? Understand causality that way. And you could say that the pen now is, nominally speaking, not this way, okay, is, if you look at subtle impermanence, for example, is caused by the same pen the moment before, and the moment before, and the moment before, all the way until it was plastic, all the way until it was whatever plastic comes from, petroleum, etc., right? So you could say, this instant of pen, previous instance of pen, the continuum of pen exists in that way. That, you could say, is the direct cause. Yeah? Does that make sense? Okay?
Yes.
Similar, okay? The indirect cause, looking at things in that way, time-wise. So the indirect, the gyu, right? Not the mu-yu, the gyu of this pen, meaning the indirect cause, using the explanation I just gave you, might be what? If the direct cause is its pen the moment, this same pen the moment before, that's the direct cause of this flopping into being. Yeah, same as mind. The current state of my mind is caused by the previous moment of my mind, flopped into being, right? Same as this pen, instance of pen. Instance of pen. What's the indirect cause if you're looking at it, direct and indirect?
The
I gave somebody a pen.
plastic that
No, that's the projection thing.
the plastic that they used to make the pen.
That could be one. That's way back there, right? It's all the way back there. That's sort of indirect time-wise.
Somebody needs to write.
No, that's again that, I think.
Factories?
That good, but that's all the way over there, right? Let's go back.
An indirect cause could be that you decided to bring this with you today to use an example. So you picked it up off the table and
Oh,
The pen was there already.
Oh, I like that. The Abhidharmas
Nominally, the
say
pen was there.
the Abhidharmas that say that everything, but it's a different relationship in causality. Everything that didn't prevent this pen from coming into being is
It's a
a cause for the pen,
Yeah.
and that's a.
Yeah, but that's another thing.
I know that's a different thing. We're talking about.
Say it one more time.
Well, I will in a second. Let me just go direct and indirect. Okay, we understand direct because of the current moment of pen is the moment before. Is that directly flopped into this current moment of pen? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Indirect is the gyu, because gyu means cause, right? So the cause, or the previous cause, is just that. It's just the previous moment of pen of the previous moment of pen. That's all.
What about the
So-
idea of the creation of the pen?
It depends what you mean by that. But he said factory, he said the plastic. Yeah, you're saying the fabrication of the pen, or the conceptualization of the pen. Yep, absolutely. All those things are indirect causes of pen. Yeah, they sit somewhere in the timeline back there.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that okay?
Okay.
Wait, so, I'm sorry. The direct one is the previous moment of pen,
Yep.
and then the indirect is everything before the previous moment of pen.
Yep,
But it's not everything that didn't prevent it.
not yet.
No, we're
That's
talking
coming.
in nominal
Yes.
sense,
Different.
right?
That's something.
Okay.
It's coming.
What about all the parts of the pen? They are direct cause as well, you know? They cause directly there is pen. They are all
Yeah, you
parts.
can say this thing is. You could look at it that way. Although, let's have a look if that's a different relationship.
A sense factory?
No, if we're just looking at pen, I'd say that one is this next part, which is
Okay,
material
yeah.
cause and contributing factors.
Maybe it's also the relation of part and a whole that...
Yeah. Bear with me, yeah? Let me get the download and then we can debate, I think after the next slide, where we get some concepts down. Do you understand the material cause and contributing factors? Do you know what we use that for? We've used this before, this argument, this different way of looking at causation. One is over time, right? Current moment of this flopped into the previous moment of this flopped onto the current moment of this. That's direct cause. Anything before that moment, it's indirect cause. That's direct, indirect, simplified. A second way that things can be caused, and there's only two presented in this logic text, is there comes a material cause and all the contributing factors. The example is the seed.
And the water and the sun and
The
air.
seed is the
Material.
material cause, the thing that flops over into the result. Yeah. So the seed is the thing that flops over into a tree. And all the contributing factors can be the water, sun, earth, heat, the farmer. These are all the indirect or the contributing factors, of a material cause, seed, that flopped into a tree. Yeah?
Wait, what's the difference between a material cause that's a seed and all the rest of it? Like,
They are not the seed.
Okay, that's a good question. What's the difference between the seed and all the other things, right? The sunshine, is that what you're asking?
because the other things are material in the sense they're physical.
Yeah, no, material cause just means the principal thing that flipped over, the number one thing. And now here's the difference. You put all those things out there, seed, water, earth, the farmer, everything. You take out water, that seed might still sprout into a tree. You put in water and you take out dirt and it might be left on the side over there and it might still sprout.
Yeah.
You take out seed, you can never have a sprout.
Yeah.
Yeah? So that proves that it's the principal thing that flops over into the result.
Okay.
Yeah? The ocean, the water doesn't flop over into a tree. Yeah?
You know what's bothering me about this is when you say that it flops over, it gives the impression that you have this and all of a sudden you have something different. And it's not the way that it is.
I know.
Okay.
We'll get to that too.
All right,
We'll get to that when we're talking about Madhyamika. At the moment, we're studying the Dura text, which is the text from the logic school, right? Where we're looking at all schools of Buddhist thought, understand this view.
As long as you understand it's upsetting.
No, I completely understand. And according to the Madhyamika Prasangika point of view, that's coming from you. But we're not studying that. That was caused by my words in the logic school.
We can debate it later.
So in the so here is anything. So here's the definition of a material cause. If you want to get clear, don't forget why we're doing all these terms. Okay, I'm just loading your mind with ideas that might be new or pushing our minds to an edge of thinking that we're not used to, so we don't do what we're always used to doing, which is making that mistake. Okay. So we're getting pushed to edges of our thinking that we're not comfortable with because we don't think that way. You're invited to go in, you're invited to break it down, you're invited to question. But if you get the full download, then you can see how they work or not work together. All I can tell you is, from my experience, I struggled for years with these topics. I've avoided them sometimes, but then there were times where they saved me in a critical moment of meditation where I thought my mind was going that way, and then some weird word from here or some weird concept from there just gave me an, I understand. And it kept me in meditation. And the point of this is what? To have that ultimate experience in meditation when you see how reality functions truly, not the way we think it does. So that it's okay that it's a struggle. It's okay that it's a pain. You're just getting down terms. And guess what? Each time you return to these terms, return to these ideas, which you'll be pushed to in this course, you're just adding another layer of knowledge that you can use when? On the cushion. Is that okay? Yeah. So what's it say? I can't read it from over here because I'm a little blind. That Nirlingi Q, right? What's it?
Oh, underneath it?
Yeah, what's the definition?
Anything that brings about a working thing primarily as a continuation of the same material. As the tree is for the tree, as the clay is for the pot.
Excellent. That's awesome. So what did we use this Nirlingi Q for in the past? In which course? That's amazing.
Past lives.
Past lives, right? ACI what? Asian Classics course 4, I think, right? Proof of future lives. It's also link number 10 on the Wheel of Life. The woman it's the pregnant woman about to burst. I think he's got a vulture over there, which the original painting had a vulture. One of the very, very original paintings had a vulture and then eventually got replaced by a pregnant woman. And what it means is that karma, the stuff we plant, which is link number 2, through a series of things that we do, mostly having feelings about things and grasping to a result and making that really strong, become this pregnant, about to burst thing, Nirlingi Q, which projects us into our next life. Okay? So we use this proof in Proof of Future Lives to prove that the mind continues from moment to moment. I just found this, since I'm doing vintage theme, sort of, with paint splattered, I found this incredible movie about reincarnation from 1959, I think it was. And I had a quick peek at the movie, and it was really quite interesting. It was about a World War II fighter pilot who dies, and then this kid who's looking at an air show and then runs, that sort of sometime later this kid runs into a plane and can fly the plane, and all the adults are so scared that the kid is up in the air in this plane, but he knows how to land it. He goes, I don't know how I know, I just know.
Wait, that's
That's true.
true, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know, but this movie was about that in 1959. I know that we have we have a recent documentary about it or something, but this was like an old film.
Oh,
So I don't know if it's related to that story or not, but yeah,
sounds like it.
yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, because I thought that was recent.
Yeah, no, that was very recent. So why are we talking about all this again?
To perceive emptiness directly, so that we can be free from
How would that work though? If you think about cause and effect, direct and indirect cause. So two types of causes, right?
Well,
Two ways of describing causality.
you can
Strengthens your
Break down the
arguments when you
perception.
debate.
So we see them as
Strengthens
state.
your argument in debate, and once you strengthen your argument in debate, so if someone gives you a stupid answer and says, oh, this was caused by that, or gives a reason and says this was caused by that,
You
then
walk
you
away.
can say, oh,
You have more tools.
you have more tools to go, that's not a direct cause of that, how can you say that's a direct cause of that and direct cause of that? And so that in your mind in debate is forcing you to come to understandings,
So it
right?
strengthens the reasoning.
Yeah, and then if you do that over and over in arguing, in debating, you have that, you have the seeds in your mind. When you're meditating, those seeds do something. That becomes knowledge in you. And that knowledge you can use when you are doing an analytical meditation on emptiness and you get to a really subtle stage. You actually have knowing about what side of the argument you would fall into, what you believe about that argument, because you've trained it in debating. That makes sense? And only then can you actually have a realization. So it's just giving you deeper and deeper tools. You were going to ask?
I was going to say, in meditation, if you can learn to stop creating more causes, stop creating more causes with wisdom, then you get to a point of emptiness. So,
Nice.
right?
No, I like that. I like what he's saying there. He's saying
Stop creating more causes.
In
We-
an ignorant way, I guess.
if you remove ignorance from what you're doing with your mind, if you remove ignorance,
That causes things.
huh?
That causes, do you mean like things?
Like,
No, but you still.
causes like anything, like mental imprints. So if you're in meditation and you know how you have like a thought come up or some sort of impulse to keep arising, and you pretty much just react to each one of those things that comes up. But if you're able to know with wisdom, like, oh, this is arising from my karma, or this is arising, and it will change, and eventually you'd stop creating the cause for new things to come up, and you'd get to a
You can
point of
change your
stillness.
Right, but you're still creating causes though, just for a different result.
Maybe just not ignorant causes is what I'm saying.
Okay,
He's putting wisdom, right? He's attaching wisdom to that. He's applying wisdom to that experience he's having, and the more wisdom you can apply, the deeper your understanding of emptiness, the less ignorant results you're going
Right.
to get. And so that's what he means by
Okay,
producing. You still produce a result.
and you still create. You still
Switching
plan.
to the merit system, not the karmic system.
Thank you.
Cool.
I have a
Okay.
problem with that understanding. I think isn't merit a pure karma?
Yeah, it's a nice debate.
Well, it seems that when you're able to
So
surpass the ignorant causes, that would be like, isn't that the moment that you're perceiving emptiness directly anyway?
That's
Because-
what I was saying.
Yeah. Okay, then yeah. So basically, you
That's
just perceive emptiness directly.
But on the way there, you get there through
Applying wisdom.
through applying wisdom, which
Right.
is your understanding of emptiness, that stop you from falling to seeing things as self-existence and therefore creating courses.
Is that like
Yeah.
having a thought and then catching it and then, directing
Yeah, but I
it
think he's saying
yourself
even
back?
more subtle than thought. It's like you get down to a deeper level of your consciousness where you get these impulses like almost pre-thought. Yeah, and if you have a habituated application of wisdom on that, it's not going to perpetuate that stream of that thought. Yeah, I'm
So-
guessing that's what he's saying.
Seeing things with emptiness is the direct cause of seeing emptiness directly.
What did we say last time? That's nice. We said something about a postcard. It was Nick and you. We said, and I really like that. It's stuck in my head, but I can't remember it perfectly. No.
It was
Postcard
like
of the Sydney Opera House.
Yeah, postcard of the Sydney Opera House. You were sitting over there, and you were sitting over here.
So Javier asked him, and you said eventually, and you're the one that sent it.
Yeah. So when you have an experience, yeah, where did that come from? Whose mind are you in? Who caused that?
You.
you did.
I did by seeing with wisdom habitually.
So first of all, let's go to the 5 paths again, right? You have some goodness that gets you into what's the first path? Path of?
Accumulation.
And then?
Preparation.
And then?
See.
The path of preparation is what?
Understanding emptiness and karma.
So you study intellectually the concepts about, in Majjhimika point of view, does this come this way or come this way, right? Before we did that, we didn't know about that, right? Like when people would have said emptiness to us, that's not what came up, right?
Yep.
So you didn't have that in your mind.
Yeah.
But gradually, someone said that to you 1,000 times,
Right.
and each time you're like, oh, and then at some point your mind has that as a pattern, yeah, that you apply to other things, and the more you do that, this is writing yourself a postcard about the opera house, right? Come to the opera house, the drudgery of the opera house, yeah. Come to the opera house that you've never seen before. Right? Send yourself a postcard, and the more you habituate that, the more you're available for that experience to occur. Because emptiness is empty too. Okay? It's not a thing. And there's two methods that I know in the Eastern traditions that get to that experience. One is removing obstacles. Deconstructing who you are. Remove the things that prevent you from doing that, and you will find your Buddha nature, which is you have direct experience of emptiness. Yeah? Or you build merit, the merit system, which is it, right? You begin to build merit, the causes and conditions, the direct cause and conditions for you to have that experience. When you see emptiness directly, you are not there. It's not you who's having that thing, but the you that comes down from that experience. All those sensations, all those realizations, where did they come from? Are they karma or are they not karma?
Still karma.
Hmm?
They are karma.
Still karma.
They are the result, right? They're karma. So, where do they come from? Where is karma?
And merit is not karma.
Previous moment
Look,
of
it's a similar term, but so this is why it was important to look at the chart of all existing.
I have the chart of all existing things right in front of me right now.
Right. Where does karma sit? If it's a synonym, if it's a synonym of nyopo, if it's a synonym of result, of working thing, it goes into
mental.
Changing things, changing.
Right, yeah, it's a changing thing, it's a mental thing.
Yeah, Where is emptiness fall into? You know where that falls
In
into.
unchanging things. But now you also say that emptiness is not a thing. So why is it in all knowable things?
Because it's something you know.
No, it's not.
It's one of things. Say that again.
It's not something we know. It's something we think about. It's something we hear, but we don't know it. I mean, we're getting at the definition of know.
Well, knowable is different than knowing.
Yeah.
It just means that there's a potential.
I mean, I'm getting into semantics, but I think that in debate semantics it's a little important.
We're discussing it.
We're discussing a thing which is not a thing. This is
I know.
My main question is
I know.
is like, do we have? Is this just a Western problem? Like, because we're consumer capitalists, like only way we know how to conceptualize something is to get it. Is it a linguistic problem? Like, do they have this?
No. It's a
human
problem that humans have. Yeah. We rarely conceptualize things by negation, and that's why understanding the mental image and the qualityness and the jedraks to that is important, because when you see that, you separate yourself from trying to grab at a thing. Okay.
It's not the thing, it's the perception of emptiness that we can know.
Yeah.
Emptiness is a lack, it's a non-thing. So you could never, but it's that perception that makes it emptiness.
Nice.
So that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, nice.
And sorry, back to.
I still haven't covered any of the class.
You.
No, but ask it anyway, and then I won't answer it.
So.
Yeah.
Can we quickly, we don't have to go into it, but can we quickly define karma and merit and what the difference is?
Yeah.
I think you're talking about like a stained karma compared to right?
Karma is anything that's inside the wheel of life.
Is merit inside the wheel of life?
Is it?
Isn't it?
You say that Buddhists have. Do they have a mind?
Yes.
Yes.
Do they experience things?
Yes.
Is that static or is that moving?
It's moving, it's changing.
It's changing. Is that karma?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the definition of changing thing is a result or a cause. Is that karma? Do Buddhists have karma?
Yes.
Yeah.
You would know this. Do Buddhists have karma?
They do.
Do they call it karma?
We don't call it karma, no.
So it's like merit a jedrak of karma.
Is merit a jedrak of karma? No.
Karma's a judgment.
So merit.
Karma would be a jedrak of merit. That's nice.
So merit can be impure or pure.
Depends.
No, good debate.
It also depends on the school. Mine only is they call it kriya, which means clean, totally clean action. Which you don't have karmic trace, you call it it's not made with identification with ego. So
After you get through the whatever bodhisattva bhumi, I think is 8, right? Where are you collecting karma before 8? I think you are.
Merit.
No,
still make karma.
you still make karma.
So
Right.
Wait, isn't merit only for Buddhists?
Yeah.
karma because they don't have any more.
I don't know.
Mental
Oh, okay.
afflictions.
Like, I don't know, that's my problem, because for me merit is just a pure kind of karma, but apparently I have this messed up.
I've never
I don't think
heard.
you have it messed up. Yeah.
No. In Sanskrit, for marriage, we call it punya. There is a two terms used in Sanskrit: kusala karma, good karma, and also punya. Or punya is the marriage. It's but well, in my tradition, it's the kusala karma is more higher than the marriage also. But it's still debatable. We still debating about it. So marriage can take you, like super higher realm of the heavenly existences when we die, depending on our marriage system. But kusala karma can take you to all the way to the enlightenment or something. But
And what is the translation of kusala? How do you translate it?
it's a wholesome actions. Yeah.
So
Wholesome
I'm guessing in our tradition we'd call what we've described here would be the pure white karma or black and white karma or black karma, right? So you have pure instances of pure karma, white karma, black karma.
It
or
sounds
black
like
karma.
kusala is
sounds like
imbued
that.
with wisdom, and merit is something that is a very good deed, but it wouldn't take you to enlightenment.
Well, yeah, it's not very specific way in our the Theravadic philosopher also still debating this thing. Some group of says the punya has a more higher good things, and other group says, you know, the kusala has more good things, stuff. But but it's also true in the text says, you know, if you do more merit, we have a better chances to have a good rebirth, something in the heaven existence or something.
My understanding is that karma is within the wheel of life, and then the Buddha is experiencing merit. Yeah?
And sometimes I heard like Lama Mahuti explain it in some places that once the action is totally done with compassion, which is not personal thing, then it's actually coming to merit. It's no one. It's basically the seed to have go out of. It's like in a way it's kind of a karma, but the karmas that take you out of samsara.
Exactly. But necessarily it must have wisdom. Yeah.
So karma by definition is ignorant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Karma is ignorant.
So it's an ignorant movement of the mind.
Oh.
Or a movement of the mind which has ignorance in it.
By our definition.
Yeah. By
So
the
then we should
present
revise the
definition.
ACI course.
So you're saying that
We should
merit
revise
is
the
not-
ACI
Which
course.
one?
I think it's number 5.
It's
Because we talk about karma as an action, just a cause and effect.
It's
I
a
don't
movement of the
recall
mind.
any-
Abhidharma kosha. Movement of the mind.
Correct.
Yeah.
But never an ignorant movement of the mind.
Yeah, it's
But-
always ignorant. Karma is an intentional action created by an intentional movement of the mind. So it's the intention that creates karma. If it's not an intentional action, which is which is the action of a Buddha, because he has no intention, no sense of self, he's not looking for anything, he's not a person acting, it's just action without intention, it's beneficial, it's merit done from a Buddha.
So then it's
Wait,
ego
wait,
versus
wait.
It's the
egoless.
intention that makes a difference.
If you're talking about ego as self, and
It's
yes.
kind of
Because intention, I think, is a
one, like to think about it. First, it's not a thing like we do also a lot of action things that happen in our mind without karma, because just for them perceiving something before there is mental recognition what it is, it's also a natural act. So we have all the time like natural mind streams that mind moments that we are not aware of because it's so fast. But an arhat of a person that can't already generate anything that create karma.
Say again, say from
An arhat? Are you talking arhat?
An arhat
He's
is
saying
a person
some-
who doesn't have any more greed, anger, and delusion. He doesn't have, like in Abhidharma, there's all the chart of the 8 type of greed, the 4 type of, doesn't matter, 2 type of anger. So he doesn't have any more of this mind stream, so mind option, because then doesn't have any more mental affliction, even more in the subtle one, like for rebirth in a fallen sinner or something.
Right.
So he can't generate anything that generate continuous existence in samsara. However, also the term, like let's say that we are in a room which we want to go out of the room. This is where our conscious is. Before we get out of the room, a lot of the steps are still inside the room. So there is the karma that we generated. It actually gets us closer to be karmaless. And there is karma that takes us more deep into being karmaless, into the world of karma, get us deeper inside the jail. There is karma that takes us to the door of the jail or something. So these actions are done to take us out of the jail, even though they're still inside the world of samsara, because you cannot do anything really out of it till we are getting very high, is like merit. Which, even though it's still tinted with ego, it's also tinted with wisdom that when it manifests, it will take us more and more into the formless, into the freedom.
At what point of the wheel karma becomes merit then?
Outside, not in the wheel.
On that little
Then
rainbow
how do you get
See
out?
where the Buddha's pointing.
That's good. So since we're talking about cause and effect, right? We got the first link, which is ignorance, which is a blind lady dressed in white, causes the second link, which is to produce karma, which is the potter, causes a third link and fourth link and so on, all the way to the 10th link, which is the nirlingi Q, the projecting karma, which creates the perception of you being one being in an entire life for the next life. That flops into the 11th link, which is your birth into the next life, right? So just like it's got this forward order, this relationship in one way, right? This causes that, causes that, causes that, causes that. You break that by stopping the nirlingi Q, or the projecting karma. How do you stop that? You don't have strong desire. How do you do that? You don't have desire. How do you do that? You try to have feeling. How do you do that? it's karma, right? You stop planting those karmas. So if you stop at number 10, if you break number 10, if you have the capacity to understand how reality works at number 10, that number 10 is just really a blown up version of number 2 that grew through a lifetime and began to burst. Just like it's got that causation, you can anti-cause it by blocking or breaking that. Doesn't cause that, doesn't cause, if that doesn't cause that, doesn't cause that. Does that make sense? And you can only do that by having a direct experience of emptiness, which is saying, I see how the world actually exists. It wasn't that things are coming this way and then I react to them, having these feelings and desires towards them. It's in fact that the world is coming this way, and therefore those dunchis that I'm having, those realities that I'm having, all the way I'm characterizing this thing is really just a result of what I've done to others in the past. You get the connection between cause and result as it truly is, which is everything I'm experiencing, everything without exception, and all the feelings that arise from it, all the graspings that come from that, and all the feelings that come from that, and all the contacting that comes from that, etc., are all a result of my karmas, of my actions in the past. And once you get that, you can't, unless you're retarded, do harmful actions to produce more harmful results.
The moment of the perception of emptiness is the moment that karma becomes spiritual?
No.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. Because once you realize emptiness, you no longer have any attraction or aversion to objects. So you
Actually, no,
So it stops the, what's the link there?
You still have mental afflictions. So my debate on that is you might still have a habit that causes you to act in an incorrect way, but you understand that it comes from you.
If you're seeing emptiness at the moment, if you're acting from a position of seeing emptiness, none of that is attractive to you.
Completely.
When you do it as a temporary thing in meditation, and you're out of meditation, then you go back to it. But that's because...
Completely understand, but then my debate is why would it take around 7 lifetimes? Why would you go through a process of living and dying up to 7 times if you're not still propelled by some karma? I'm happy to debate that one. Yeah, because it's a big one, I think.
I don't think it's a big one at all, because we keep falling back into, because the mind is not unified. It has to be stabilized. That's why seeing emptiness doesn't solve it. You have to stabilize that and see emptiness all the time. So just seeing emptiness in a meditation moment is great. It tells you where you got to go, but it doesn't do it. You have to develop it so this emptiness appears all the time. You're constantly seeing.
Correct, which is the path of habituation.
Yeah.
No problem.
That's exactly
no
what
problem
it is.
at all.
Yeah.
But in that path of habituation, up to 7 lifetimes, not cause and effect.
It's actually 6 3/4.
No cause and effect. Are you out of karma there?
No.
You're not. You're not generating new karma, but there is old karma that said that you get.
So I
don't know. I've never.
No, I don't know.
That's what it says.
Yeah, you still have more mental afflictions that you sometimes act upon, and you still believe in samsara. You just know that it's wrong. It's like a drunk that he's already know he's already drunk, and so know it's wrong, but he's still.
You still go for it.
And that's what I've always understood as the difference between karma and merit, for example, is karma, I don't know exactly how to describe it, but the inability to break out of this, like in the moment.
Cycle.
Yeah, but in the moment, being here and not not having, almost like having not having a feeling like not having a choice, like
being pushed into the
the
inertia that you came from.
Exactly. Whereas merit, I feel like is, like they say like when a Buddha needs to appear to somebody, a Buddha doesn't have to think about it. It's just just there. That is what I understand.
I think that's not merit even, because that's already clear. That's like a clean act that is spontaneous done by a Buddha. Merit is it's very simple. Good karma is when I give something to a beggar because I feel that he's poor and I just want to give him in the moment. When I do it with compassion and emptiness, out of cultivate, with the wish for enlightenment, that I can take him to enlightenment, myself to enlighten all the world, and I feel this action, then it's merit, because it actually plant a seed for enlightenment. It's not just a plant a seed for having fun, like 2 lives from now.
I'll buy that.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break, since you all took over the last half an hour of the class. I'm going to recover my thoughts and see what I can cover in the next half hour. And thank you for teaching. Thank you, Javier.
What?
Yeah.
So,
I really want to get a
This
massage.
is
I really want to
the
massage my back,
Buddhist act.
but I can't get there.
What you're saying, I don't
Tomorrow's Friday.
They don't.
It would have to be like in the morning.
There's no sense of the self in the Buddha that they're doing anything
because there's a place over here. It's like
How do you mean everything else? You mean normal living, or you mean
why do I do something to why do I sit there and stare at my fingers and think, oh, I'm watching the finger.
Eventually you do. Eventually you do. Long meditation retreats.
Doesn't mean doesn't separate you from him. That's just one flow of just equal.
To have a magic.
There's no sense of self in it anymore.
How do you get a magic?
There's no sense of
You have to actively cheat.
What I have to understand is
all these things to try and get that
sense of self.
resulting in that's why that's why practice.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Having that right thinking now and now we're going to like later. We don't know. How do you accelerate that trauma to give you a result? Now, every moment I say you feel that exceptional illusion of the other might be suffering. So how do you force it so strong? You only do that through acting out in the world. How do you do that? You do understand that cause and effect is also cause and effect of the love, student passion we're working on. All these beings over here are not that way from the road. But in fact, your mind is projecting happy, annoying, Eastern, right? And all those things. Then, every single one of those actions is creating a result. Thinking with wisdom on them, discrimination, whatever experience I'm having on all of them, they are all.
Yeah, I understand that. It's just
that great being is also
everything's to be done.
This is not a result, it's a result. You come right? It's a seven by the thinker, but I'm doing it super active way that's habituating the majority of my life. I'm walking through the world doing this in suffering, and then that gives you a result
that has a quality
sooner than every now and then in isolation.
It'll bring us happiness to put anything
to get the relationship.
So when you realize there's nothing out there that bring you any kind of
really getting the taste of almost there.
Sure.
When you get that, then you come out of retreat and you interact with as many people as possible. Piss you off and make you happy. Why? Because you're not interacting with them. You're using them. Yeah, because you need. I mean that in the world. Yeah, I mean that in the you do everything you want. Why? Imagine if you're playing this thing. Having a
I understand what you're saying about that. It's very interesting that I understood.
Yeah,
it's a very subtle image. It's a very subtle thing.
These beings seeing emptiness.
Like you could say,
how many
it doesn't desire
30 times people. Right?
So really just loves and helps
opportunities.
Doesn't have a desire
in their mind ready to experience it. You do that thing of the whole planet, like in the meditation.
But it's not a negative
all the time.
It's
So
not,
then,
a Tana or a thirst.
So that's right.
All right.
Right.
It's a Chandra.
If you want power, you imagine them as Buddhists. Treating you that people. Why? Because an action towards the highest being, the most perfect being, gives a freedom of soul. It's a more significant. So the Dalai Lama came in here right now, and you did something towards it. I thought about in your mind about that may be way stronger than just currently. A unique
accumulate merit. It has to be somebody or something.
You need the tidal wave, you need the thing to solidify what we're talking about. What are all the meanings to understand of karma? All the debate which we didn't hear a lot. Why? Because we're solidifying our understanding of what's karma, what is there is goodness. Right? Once we get that solid meditation,
and then what is that
it becomes visceral, it becomes a sense. You take that sense out to the subway, and then multiply until you get bigger, and then you have this.
When we talk about like a marriage system, a karma system,
and at some point you become some master that has a constant entry view. What we as a city only experiencing, you will be experiencing meditation, and they can just act towards it, and they're becoming members.
And those are all. I think that it's material and contributing to direct perception. You dedicate the merit at the end of the practice. Okay? You're not getting any coins.
I'd have to say, I'd have to check what the technical answer is, but I'd say that your mind having a direct perception of emptiness can only be caused by your mind having an intellectual perception of emptiness. So that's why the metaphor about sending yourself a postcard, you're actually sending yourself a postcard of where you're at. And you've never seen it before. You've got a picture of seeing emptiness directly. That's not what emptiness directly looks like. The photo of the opera house is the opera house. Yeah? And then when you get to the opera house, you're like, oh, it's exactly like this picture. It's 3D and it's in it, whatever. So it happens you say to yourself that and
it goes out to and that's what I want. Now, because we live in that world, hey, it goes out to our loved ones, it goes out to others, and we're happier, and then they reflect it back to us, so it just makes the world, makes that everything sweet and right? Rather than putting garbage in there,
and they were finished.
Making it better. Now, even if it's if we're born,
and it sounds like you're studying this before.
From that but if we hold it, we don't drop it in the water, no purify. You know what I'm saying? So that's what the way we're really it's not really.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what it is.
It's just a continuum of consciousness. So when God, whatever it's not you, born into that world, God for years. So the only difference is when you start to say, oh, this is my karma,
I'm very impressed for it. This is a course that takes 5 years to do.
Because it goes out to everybody.
And on the hardest class.
And we just get so hung up with ourselves, and I don't, that's the one thing I don't see.
The hardest class in this entire course.
It makes sense to me when I don't put a self in it.
By donation, we ask everybody to give something at the moment so if they can. But these classes are without charging because the Tibetan teachers taught us this.
Well, so then
taught by the same teachers that are now. I don't know.
There's the illusion and then there's the experience. Or on the other side,
but then when we talk about A-mind, we're talking about A-mind separates to other mind. So isn't that a sense of separation, a sense of self?
That's why you have
for her.
And the pharma side is the mind of Buddha.
So we can do the class. So we can do the class. We can do half the class. All right. Why don't we finish that next week?
So the person would have this mind,
like, oh, you know, sorry, because I didn't, don't just like, you know, that's what it says about it, right? But then, as long as they take an extra metric part, and I know that I have an extra part, okay, so I have an extra metric part, so why not so listen, right, about the three, doesn't mean that the experience, yeah, right, very honestly with slight shame, right? That like I have when moments arise, I try to always remember. Okay, right now it's like you got to think about it. Right now is but sometimes I always sit there, you know. Yeah, pretty simple. How can I want to say something? Like what a waste. Right now it's such a beautiful situation. How can I make the most of it?
Good. This is exactly what you catch yourself.
It's just like
it's just the same as one again. And then you shorten that period. At some point, you'll remember how to do the interaction, and you do it. The fact that you remember is already a sign that your mind is the world without world. The other thing doesn't matter that's happening when we play. But you are now certain that it's in your mind stream connecting interactions like that to this kind of meaning. Now, if I'm saying what way you were a problem, you're a bad child, you speak correctly, so whatever your mind asks to tell you the backstory of who you are, say it fine. Yeah, that's just what we do. You feel bad, that's no problem. You can have that. You had it before. Yeah. So don't let them deter you. In fact, it actually confuses you. Yeah. This way you can see these patterns, negative patterns, fuel you forward. Yeah. So you can go, oh, okay, that I'm never going to give that. I'm not going to let that slip again.
Right, I'll never give again without first being like, okay, here's the three things.
Now you just planted that coming, right? So next time you're about to give again, at some point that'll come up. It might be towards the end as he's walking away, you're giving it to him, but you caught it. It's now open.
Yeah, and you want to have it right when it's.
Eventually you will. You want to try it, right? You're going to habituate that in three ways. You're going to habituate first the act of who I am as a giver. What is a giver? What am I doing giving? Who gives? What value is there in this object? It's all projected. The me is projected.
Like if you gave like a tramp some money.
That's what he's talking about.
You just gave a tramp some money, but if you actually gave a tramp some money and said, I hope you does something good for you, it helps you.
And you understand where that comes from in your mind.
Right.
Yeah, this Dunchi thing we're talking about. You understand that it's your mental image of a me giving. If it's your mental image of a
what about like compassion? Would you call that compassion? You know, for example, you give just out of compassion. Lots of people just give.
Yeah, the impulse out of compassion.
The impulse, habitation. You see a homeless person, you give some money.
And then giving is compassion.
Is compassion. But you actually deliberately giving, you know, in order to help the person's life.
So here is if I give you cash, right? That's a nice act of compassion. Okay? But if I do it because I think you're going to go and eat some meal and get happy, no problem. That act will satisfy you for a short time. If I don't think about it, right? I hope you get some food and you get food, you're going to shit that food and then you're going to need more food. I really didn't help you that much. I just helped you slug one day. Nice compassion, you're still good. Don't not do it, right? But if you do that with wisdom, which is, hold on, the fact that a bum exists in my mind, a person that needs a lot and is begging, that has to be a dunchi in my mind. It comes from my karma. That I've created scarcity in my life in the past by the act of giving, which has no nature of its own. I am not just giving you food so you can eat and shit and go. I'm giving you food, so no beggar can ever exist on this planet again because I see that it's a projection, and I'm stopping the cause. Exactly, for me to experience beggars ever suffering on this planet. That's a much bigger, it's the same action, I'm still giving it to you.
Yeah.
But it's a way bigger, deeper impact in your mind.
Using wisdom.
Yeah, which is
That all goes in the diamond together.
Correct. Yeah. Which give you a faster result.
Yeah.
Which is a premise of, it's one of the laws of karma, like one of the functioning.
Laws of karma, laws of wisdom.
Merit.
All riled up now.
So he said like with karma and merit, with like just kind of like merit was like a different level, like attaining karma. You know, like attaining celestial glory or something, terrestrial, celestial.
I think you can think about all that way. The way I internalize merit and karma is any action that is done without a perfect understanding of wisdom, without seeing emptiness directly or beyond. Somewhere in there I'm planting merit. Outside the wheel, I'm experiencing merit.
Oh yeah.
Anything that's done with ignorance, meaning not knowing where the world comes from, without understanding emptiness, is just ignorant action. It's just karma.
So like just giving the body some
that will just
which is just a habitation.
Yeah, and the result will be someone will give you some money, but then that money will run out, and then you need some more money.
Yeah. So whereas if you're doing it to rid to understand, to rid the world of the actual action of like.
Understand that there is no value in that money from its own side. The only value I'm experiencing or the family's experiencing is only through the act of kindness and virtue.
And even the arrival of the bomb is caused by my own. Yeah.
Right. Everything. Yeah. Can we get the people in here? I want to get everyone out by 10. Thank you so much. I love it. Really, by 10. Thank you. I hate you today.
You love me always.
I do. I'm really grateful for it. Yeah. It was good. It was really good.
It's funny.
But it's
karma that I'm here.
It's bizarre. So have you met Simon? Have you?
Not officially. Javier.
You should meet Simon.
So I just I was just saying I was coming to an AA meeting.
I've got no idea what I'm
meeting.
Okay.
And my sponsor told me it was at 7 o'clock. So I cycled this. I've been here one time before. And I've only done 50 days of sobriety, but I came here for 7 and the class was finished. And then
it's like at 6, right?
Yeah, it's at 6, and then I just found myself in this class.
That's your merit.
That's my merit.
Apparently, I would call it karma until right now.
Yeah, I would call it karma until now. Well, now afterwards it will be merit.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Well, I'm glad you showed up.
Well, I was already here.
Right.
You know, I was already doing nothing before everything became something. Great to meet you, Javier.
Nice to meet you, Simon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be May.
¿Cómo estás?
Bien.
¿Qué haces acá?
Te vine a ver.
¿De dónde estás? ¿De dónde viniste?
De Guadalajara.
¿Cuándo?
Ayer.
¿Cuánto te quedas?
15 días.
Wow, welcome.
Gracias.
Anyone else speak Spanish?
Hablo español
Yo.
también.
¿También?
Sí.
Yo.
Yo no.
¿De dónde sos?
Poquito.
De Colombia. Un gusto.
Un gusto.
Un gusto, me gusta mucho. How many Spanish speakers do we have here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow.
It's not a conspiracy, es una conspiración.
This is amazing. So this is I'm grateful for opening up the class for a debate discussion. So we're going to forego every other thing that we were supposed to do, but let me do this with you so we can, next week, we are not here. Is that right?
Nope.
You're at Geshe Tasha's teaching in Queens.
Thank you. Next week, let's do that stuff. Next week, Stephen and I are in Paris having a romantic getaway with his sister.
We're into that kind of thing.
That's so good.
Yay.
Next week.
Yeah.
So on Thursday, there's no class here. But if you know Geshe Tashi Dorje, who knows Geshe Tashi Dorje? He was the Umse, the chanting master of His Holiness the Dalai Lama at Tibetan Monastery for over 7 years. And he recently moved to New York, maybe 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and is now permanently here. Just a few months ago, he's permanently here. He is teaching
Four Noble Truths.
Four Noble Truths where?
In Jackson Heights.
In Jackson Heights. Who else
It's
knows?
in English.
Yeah, and he's got an English translator, and he's doing it for 2 more nights, 2 more Thursdays or something like that. So if you can get to that class next Thursday, I think it would be a blessing for him, a blessing for the Three Jewels, and most importantly, a blessing for your mind, because you're getting a download from the lineage direct from His Holiness the Dalai Lama and his teacher and so on. So we share teachers from Tibetan Monastery.
And if you have enough time, you can bless your stomach in Jackson Heights.
That's right, because there's way lots of yummy food in Jackson Heights. Colombian food and Tibetan.
Is there Colombian food there?
Really?
Yeah.
Roosevelt Avenue is like packed.
So I suggest that somebody volunteer to be the lead contact, to take a team and send addresses and do that. Who wants to do that? This is Jenna, everybody. Jenna is the boss lady of the yoga program at the Three Jewels. She is the lead of everything we teach over here in yoga. She does everything from the programming, organizing the teachers.
That, Sarah and I will share it because Jenna has 2 kids and a lot to do, so we'll share the duty of doing it.
I don't really appreciate that, actually.
Oh.
Well, would you consider that? You don't know where Geshe Tashi lives now.
Yes, he
moved. Yeah,
oh, okay.
He moved.
But I could easily find. I could text him right now. Yo, Mr. Geshe. No, seriously, I would like to do it. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna have a conversation after this class.
You're so bitch slapped. And it's public. Okay. So that's one announcement. Next Thursday, please try and get to Geshe Tashi. He's an incredible person. Segue to Geshe Tashi was born in a village on the border with China in Nepal, right on the border of China, which was Tibet before it was China. Okay. So in that village, bunch of Sherpas and lots of Tibetan people. The refugees mostly came through there as well as other places, but those that came through there went to this village called Fulping where Geshe Tashi was born. And there's this beautiful temple over there that after the earthquake, everything got destroyed, including the temple. It's 600 years old and it's at 45-degree angle. And we're currently working to rebuild the school there, which we've already got funding for, and we're going to eventually build that temple. So I encourage you to go get to know him, enjoy, and if you want to help with the rebuilding of the school or 108 Lives, which is the project that goes over there this October, you're welcome to come as a volunteer. The volunteering is not hard work. We do all the work, or we pay other people to do the work for us, so they got stuff to do, and we just enjoy ourselves and play with the kids and draw and teach lessons and so on. One thing to say is that if you want to come as a volunteer for just $20, you can buy a raffle ticket that enters you into a chance to win a free trip to Nepal this October with the volunteer team, plus 2 weeks accommodation. And that gets drawn on the summer solstice, June 21 or something like that. Yep.
Tuesday.
So you should think about that. Yeah. Who's been to Nepal here? Put up your hands. Yay, with the 108 Lives project. I don't want to talk to you. Yeah. Can you share a few words about your experience?
Jenna was really mean to me the whole
time.
I don't know if I can go back. I don't know where Geshe Tashi lives. I don't know anything. I bow down and prostrate to...
Someone's sense of I just got pressed. Let's go.
No, it was the most remarkable encounter with other human beings I've ever had in my life. And
really?
Yeah. And you know, you really experience the trick of giving and being given too. Everything you think is giving automatically just gets flipped, and the bliss raining down upon you from all around in every direction of just pure love and goodness.
Give me the name of one of these pure love and goodnesses you've met.
Sano Sensar Children's Home.
Great.
In
Nice.
Kathmandu, which is full of some of the most bright young people I've ever met, and walking hearts who only want to just like soak up everything that you have to give like a sponge and just give it back to you 100-fold.
Yeah, it's awesome. The point of the project, 108 Lives project, is to give people that have been studying these ideas. So you try and understand karma, emptiness, compassion, all the things we're studying here. And then go put yourself in a situation that's unfamiliar to your mind and body, like Nepal, it smells. Yeah?
Like here.
Like and there's all these other obstacles to your normal life over there. So your mind is instantly pitched into being very open to see what the hell is going on. And you go there with all these dunchis or sometimes drachis of what is to be a beggar, and what is it to be an orphan, or what is it to be an earthquake victim, or what is it to be in the Himalayas, or what is it to find Buddhist monks and nuns, or blah blah blah. You have all these stories about who you are in relation to all those things.
What is a toilet?
What is a toilet? What is hot water?
What is paper?
And then very quickly you begin to realize that your experiences are not matching your dungeons. Yeah. And then your training comes into play. It's an opportunity to test your insights. And we do it in a communal sense. We do it very gently. It's just a bunch of us without much schedule. We've done all the work. So we paid for the rebuilding of the school, or we paid for the excursion, and we just go on an excursion with the kids. And then we play football, or we draw, or we do yoga, or we do these awesome workshops to relieve stress for the kids, right? To prevent the post-traumatic stress disorder that might come after a traumatic event like a thing. And we've got some training for that, and we'll do some training for you. So you're welcome to come. $20 a ticket. Every cent of it goes to paying for building a third building in that school. The good news, for those of you that know, 108 Lives has built one of 3 buildings in a school in Philippines. It's building right now. It's happening right now. We think we've got somebody that has agreed to fully fund the second building. Nice. So they've said, yeah, we'll dump the 12 grand for you, and you'll have a second building. It's still under slight negotiation, but it's 90% proof. And so anything we raise from now on goes to building either the Gompa or the third building, and also to help the kids in Kathmandu. Really amazing experience. Highly encourage it. And there's also a bunch of other activities around that, like the puppies. The puppies. There's animals to take care of too, yeah. Not just children, not just beggars. There's puppies and kittens. Okay, you happy now? When Rachel came with us to the pool one day, she came to breakfast, and coming out of her cleavage was this kitten. Like, she was sitting at breakfast, and out comes his little head. It's like, I'm like, what the hell is that? So she starts taking care of little kittens, and it was beautiful to see, because we're all focused on human beings, and Rachel's mind was all about the suffering of animals there, which is, there's a lot of. Can I just get one word about how you come back? When you come back from this trip, I know someone share the experience you have about reorbiting your normal life, your Western life.
Yeah, when you come back, nothing makes sense. Basically, like you are, all of a sudden, hot water from the faucet sounds like the most amazing, marvelous thing. Yeah, it's just. Everything in your life is luxury. Like you realize that you live in luxury. Yeah. Like you are the 1% of the world, basically. That's what happens when you come back.
And New York City is very egocentric, and you're not like doing that in Nepal, so it's hard to come back to.
No, that lasts only like for 3 days. After that, you
but I also realized I have been missing so much from just walking or not having a cell phone.
And not having to be part of the thing. Yeah.
Well, sometimes I don't use my toilet, so I feel like
wallpaper. Let's go to. So I want to say, next Thursday, you get in contact with Jenna, who'll be just out the door when we finish, and you can take down you're all here. I don't know. I'm not bossing you around. She can tell you. Oops. She can give you information about where to go, etc. If you want to get involved with the 108 Lives or come to Nepal, tickets are at the door. Or you got Birdie over there, who actually forced me to start the project in the first place in 2010, or something like that. Yeah.
And then the following weekend.
I was going to say. Okay, you say it. The following weekend.
After next weekend.
After next weekend.
The 21st.
The 21st.
The 21st we're
gonna have a picnic.
The Three Jewels is an incredible community. We're only a tiny part of the Three Jewels community. There's a bunch of people that come to this place to study other things, or meditate on other things, or do yoga, or Tai Chi, and all sorts of things. And we're inviting everybody that wants to come and have a picnic at
Central Park
on the 21st. Information threejewels.org, or become part of the website, of the newsletter, and you'll get details about that. This place is only run by donations, except for the yoga program, which is a minimal yoga fee. So I also encourage you, if you want to take care of this place, there's many ways to do it. You can volunteer, you can share and help us online, or you can drop some deposit over there, some donation, but don't just give us money for the sake of money. Not interested in that money. If you're going to leave some money for the Three Jewels to continue its thing, do it with the deepest intention. So if you get anything out of these classes, if you get some internal realization and some hope for a better life, or whatever it is that you get here, put that associated with your money as you give it to the Three Jewels, and imagine that other people may get that actually need it much more than us. There's plenty of people walking around New York who are hurting in ways that we've hurt and we've stopped hurting because we understand things in a different way. People are still caught in wheels of suffering, in circles of suffering around us. And may those people come and take advantage of a free meditation or a free Dharma class and workshops by donation, etc. Yeah. So without that, I'm not doing any more class because you all took over. You missed. Look at all that stuff you missed. You missed
that's
that.
in Nepal.
And that. What's in Nepal?
The photo that's on the.
That one.
Yeah.
That is in Nepal. Okay. Let's say thank you. Make an offering and.
Sashi
Buddhi Vishim Metotam Vila Kinshim Negapadi Samve Shingu Mite Guargi Nirokun Nanda Shimma Chubasho Iyam Guranamanda Kamniyatayami Gewali Gewogum Sunam Yeshe Sotsoshin Sunam Yeshe Vejunwei
I'm grateful you came tonight. I'm sorry I couldn't finish the class, and I'm also really grateful for all the questions and debating. It tells me that our minds are really engaged in trying to understand all these magnificent concepts that can cause us to come out of suffering and enter a state of being that is the only way we can help this world get better. So thank you.
Thank you for teaching.
Please keep teaching.
Yeah.
Forever.